here to talk to y'all as Keenan's classmates about what his health condition is, because Keenan is sort of a hidden superhero. So then you want to get the little shirt there and you can show it. So Keenan, y'all probably seen, has to stop by the nurse's office before he goes to get his medicine to go to lunch or have his snacks. Well, Keenan has a superpower of fighting CF. So his aunt made this pretty little superpower. He's a superhero shirt logo that we change every year, and it's to show how he fights CF. CF, cystic fibrosis, is what Keenan has. So let me let him explain it. So what does CF mean to you, buddy?
It means like it affects my lungs, and it like makes me not breathe as good as other kids.
Yeah. And so Keenan was born with this condition, and some of you may have heard people who have asthma have a hard time breathing. Well, Keenan has trouble where his lungs get really, if you get a cough and you can't get the cough out, his lungs fill up with that kind of stuff you're trying to cough out all the time. And so he has to do some special things to get that out of his lungs. So we'll show you that in a minute. And then what else does it do in terms of how you eat and what you have to do with eating?
I have to take medicine every time I eat something.
And what happens if you don't take medicine?
Then I get a tummy ache.
Get a tummy ache. So Keenan he can't digest food without taking some capsules every single time he eats. And how many do you take at a time?
5 or 3.
Yeah, depends on what he eats, but he can take a whole handful of medicine and he swallows it whole. And he was doing that before he turned 2. He could swallow a whole capsule. A lot of you probably still have trouble trying to swallow a capsule. So for him, it was like brushing your teeth, you take your medicine, you get to eat after you take your medicine. Mm-hmm. So, and how many pills or how much stuff do you have to take a day?
Like 15.
Yeah, or sometimes depending on what he's sick with, there's a lot. So we can get the basket. So Keenan can take up to 30-something tablets a day, and that's just to stay healthy. So besides doing his tablet medicine, we had said he has to do stuff to help his lungs. Our nanny has helped Keenan with a checklist. So Keenan, this is what you have to do every morning. Y'all have to get up and get dressed and get ready for school. Keenan has a checklist of things that he has to go through and make sure he keeps doing every day so he can stay well. And even if he does this all, he still could get sick with more of like a pneumonia type of problem.
And he also gets paid.
He gets paid to do, this is his chore list. So to be able to do his medicine independently without us asking, he has to get up and he sets timers to make sure he's doing everything on the right time. So if he comes a little late to school sometimes, it's because he didn't get up quite early enough to get all those little things done before he got here. He's not at home just playing, he's trying to get his stuff done. So I'll show you some of the things that he has to do to get his lungs good. The first thing, he has to rinse his nose out. Have y'all ever dove into the ocean with salt water that goes up your nose?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he does that every day, twice a day. So you squirt your nose out with a whole bottle of this salt water, and then he takes 2 kind of nose sprays that he sprays, so one in each side of his nose. Have y'all ever tried to do a nose spray before?
Yeah, I do.
It kind of tickles and makes it feel kind of weird. So he does 2 different kind of nose sprays.
I have that.
And he's got allergies on top of having CF, so it makes it complicated. And then he does 2 inhalers, this one, and he has to do 2 puffs of that. And then he does a puff of his other inhaler. And then we hook it up to do his vest. So he's going to show you this because it's pretty cool. Go ahead and start hooking it up and I'll help you. So the vest, when he was a tiny baby, we had to pad his chest. Because when the mucus gets all thick and sticky in his chest, we'd have to pad his chest pretty hard. And he'd fall asleep while we padded his chest, up and down for 15, 20 minutes. Now he gets to wear a super cool vest. Since about age 2, he got to start wearing this vest. He just got a new one that's camo colored, so that was pretty cool. And he gets to shake. This shakes his chest, kind of looks like a life jacket, but it's got a pump that makes air go into this. It's like 2 layers that the air goes in between. You want to start it, Sid? And it shakes, it rattles and shakes his chest. And he's pretty good at shaking, and he tries to do homework, so he has to make his arm get straight to do his homework. or he knows how to shoot his video games. He's pretty good at aiming despite shaking. You gonna say some words while it's on there? Say your ABCs. And in addition, while he does that, he does 2 kinds of nebulized medicines. So he has to hook up with a little mask while he's doing it. So he shakes and he does his inhaled medicine that he sits with. And he also, while he's doing it, he multitasks. He eats, or he does his homework, or he gets to play games. So his reward for getting everything going on time is he gets to have extra video game time. So that's one of his benefits.
What?
Yeah. So he's got a lot more probably screen time than y'all might have. Because if you had to do all this responsibility, you'd want to be rewarded for it, right?
Yes, I would.
And so at the end of all of that, then he does another thing where he has to breathe in. There's nothing in there you can pretend to show it. He has to breathe into this, and this is an antibiotic, but it's a powder, inhaled antibiotic, that lets him get all the yucky bacteria that might get hung up in the mucus in his chest. It helps to get rid of it. And when this doesn't work, he has to go on to get an antibiotic through the IV like he did back in January. And since he's been in Austin, we've lived here about 3.5 years, he's had 3 different rounds of the IV antibiotics, and been in the hospital the first time with that for about 8 days, and then the rest of the time at home. And each time is about 2 weeks. And so 2 weeks that he's not supposed to swim or take a shower like everybody else does. He has to wear things like the protection on his arm. But the really cool thing that we've just started, and y'all may have heard that he's out a good bit here in the last month or so, Keenan's gotten to be in a special study. And so on once every 2 weeks here at the beginning, and then it'll be once a month, he goes in for an all-day doctor's appointment from the 8 o'clock till 5:30.
And I get paid $1,260.
So he's pretty excited he gets paid to go. And you get to spend money on whatever he wants. So he's gotten to get some cool video games and things that he likes to get. And it's so that he has time sitting there in the clinic. They have to do a lot of different things for the study. What kind of stuff do they do?
Blood draws too every time I go there. It's like 6 hours appointment.
Yeah, a lot of EKGs and blood draws, and there's this little thing that collects a little sweat on his arm that kind of stings that they have on his arm. Like a little electric feeling on his arm. So it's not all fun, and he has to go through it, but you know why he's going through it? What does the medicine do?
It helps me breathe like a normal kid.
Helps him breathe like a normal kid. And so he started that in, I guess it's been about 5 weeks ago. And for the first time, he's been able to taste things that are salty. So one of the problems with CF is the salt in his body doesn't work right. So it doesn't go across the cells the way it's supposed to. And so everything gets kind of thick and sticky. Well, the tablet medicine, it's kind of like science fiction. The tablet medicine he takes goes all the way down to the tiny little cells and fixes that protein to make it work right. So now his salt channels work right. He can taste salt for the first time. He didn't like the way salt tasted because he hasn't had it since he's ever tasted. So then he also gets to smell differently because his nose wasn't working right before. Now he can smell bacon. He said he could smell bacon. And what else did you do? You can run faster and take deeper breaths. So it's a pretty amazing medicine because it may fix it so that he doesn't have to do all this the rest of his life. But it's one of the medicines that he would have to take every day forever. So the way that they figured out how to use that medicine that he's being studied with is through fundraising. Friends and family has done every year a fundraising walk for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And that's where y'all come in, and you may have remembered the last couple of years here at school. We send a flyer out to every child's family and has Keenan's superhero picture on it. And we ask if y'all want to come and walk with us. And our walk is going to be coming up May 16th, so just before y'all get out of school. And it's going to be at Concordia, so right down the road in a little shaded walking area. And it's a fun walk. They have music and games. But the real important thing is that we raise awareness and we raise money so that the CF Foundation is able to study and figure out how to treat CF. There's not very many in the country. In the United States, there's only 30,000 who have CF. So that's only one in this school, probably I think 100 in Austin. And Keenan was one of the 3 in Austin that got to be in the study. And only 60 or 56 children in all of the United States and Canada got to be in the study. So Keenan was one of those, which is pretty neat. So out of the whole United States and Canada, he was one of less than 2 classes of children were able to be in the study. So we're very appreciative. The things y'all can do to help Keenan are, if you have a cough or a cold, try to not spread your germs. So the same way that your teachers talked about coughing into your elbow, washing your hands a lot, that helps him. Because if he gets a cold, then he can get more of a pneumonia and get sicker. You can help him with reminding him to go by and get his enzymes from the office before he goes to lunch. He's pretty good at remembering now, but sometimes on special treat days when y'all have parties, sometimes it's hard to remember that. And it's for him, it's not contagious. So if he's coughing, it may sound like he's got a yucky cold, but he doesn't. We don't hear him cough much because we work hard to keep him from having to cough. But he's able to run and do everything else that y'all do. You've seen him running on the playground and playing soccer and all of that. So,
I've seen him playing tag. I've never seen him play soccer.
You haven't. So he plays pretty hard, and that helps his lungs too. So treat him just like you do all your other buddies, and you just may know a little bit more about why he's been out and what he's been doing. Do you have any questions? Do you have anything you want to share? No. All right. Well, thank y'all for listening. You have a question?
How do you get whatever sickness?
How does he get it? So it's a genetic condition. So each of you are born with all the genes that your mom and your dad had that they give to you. So some of you look like your dad, or you look like your mom.
My baby brother looks like me.
Yeah, and so you might look like your sister or brother. Well, the same thing happens, but for Keenan, it's in his genes.
Looks like me.
Deep down in there where his salt channel doesn't work, he got the gene from his dad, 1 copy, and 1 copy from me. And as parents...
And my dad has the same disease as me.
He has his dad, after he was diagnosed, actually was found to have cystic fibrosis, but in a different form where it's not as severe. So no matter what, he would have gotten 1 gene from his dad, and then I only have 1 gene. And so people that have 1 gene don't have any symptoms, and we don't know we have it. And when you get married and have children, you might pass on that gene to your child. And Sydney, she's a carrier no matter what, because her dad gave her a gene and I didn't give her a gene. So when the testing came up, my test was negative. Hers probably will have 1 gene. So she may marry someone later who might have 1 gene, and then they would have a chance of having a child with CF. It used to be kind of a lot scarier, but now there's so many good treatments that it doesn't matter if you know you have the gene or not, because we can really treat people really well to be able to make them live long and feel good and not have any of the bad sickness that a lot of people with CF used to have.
My great-great-grandma was 91 and she's still kind of healthy.
That's good. Yeah.
She got a cold when she was 90, but she
was able to get over that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
she
good.
lives alone, but someone in Ohio, that's part of my family, is taking
Take care of her. That's good. What did
She
you
used
have?
to have, I have asthma.
You have asthma, yeah? So you probably used inhalers like this.
She used to have TV dinners, but now someone else is cooking for her, and she's getting healthier. So
That's good.
So she's not gonna get sick.
That's good. Well, help y'all run and play and be strong exercisers, because I will help everyone to stay healthy, just like for Keenan. All right, thank y'all. Thank you for listening.
What do you say to Keenan's mom?
Thank